I'm Robert.
I'm James.
I'm Dawson.
I'm Andrew.
And this is the Adrenaline Factory.
I wish they had them where you could do like, not do the top ones. Like 2 different clicks or something. Oh man, you can barely get to the key.
Flashback FM. Flashback FM.
This is Flashback. Push it to the limit, people.
Push it to the limit.
Well, we're on our way to highway patrol. We got helmets and stuff on because the windshield never got finished out on the frame, and I found out that if we did that, they wanted the windshield wiper also, so it was easier just to wear some helmets just to go up there. It was a lot less paperwork and a little bit less verification stuff. You can kind of see the front of the car. We still haven't got the headlights in it yet. Just kind of threw something temporary in there just to let it pass. A small single turn signal and a low beam. Hopefully we'll get on those headlights here soon. It'll really start looking like the Infernus from the front. And then here in a second we pull up to highway patrol. And I had come out here the day before to verify that it was going to be alright that I bring it in, and it wasn't going to take a whole lot of time verifying a bunch of stuff, and I wanted to make sure I had everything they needed. So we're just kind of going through some of the paperwork here, and the title that I had for the engine and transmission, they actually we're verifying the numbers here, but I didn't sign the title. They told me I didn't have to have it registered or anything previously. I just needed proof of ownership on it, so that's what I'm doing here, is just filling out the rest of that paperwork.
Alright guys, so we're back. We got some good news. After hours and hours and hours on going to the highway patrol and the DMV 2 days in a row, we got it registered. So you're going to start seeing a lot more videos of us actually getting a chance to drive it around. My girlfriend and I spent all day Monday at highway patrol. It was like a 2.5 hour ordeal going through. They had to verify a lot of paperwork, VIN numbers and stuff for the engine, transmission, and stuff. It was mostly just a long process. It wasn't really a hard process, but it was a process. So we're basically going to go over some of the things on what it takes to actually register one of these. If you guys, I'm sure it varies state to state, but they're all probably going to be somewhat similar if they do allow a custom built car. So we're just going to go over some of that stuff to give you guys an idea if you do want to build your own, or you come across the same thing, you just have a heads up on kind of what's all involved. Kansas requires everything that a normal car would have. The headlights, turn signals, reverse lights, brake lights, running lights. They only require one mirror on the side of the car, on the driver's side, and then the third view mirror. But I went ahead and I had all of those, so I went ahead and put all those on. The harnesses, I believe in Kansas on a regular vehicle, you have to have factory equipped harnesses. It is illegal to drive with a 5-point harness if you don't have a factory one. But when you are custom registering one, it just has to have the belt. So you can have a racing harness if it's a custom built car, just not a regular car that's modified. Some of the other stuff that I had, but they really didn't look over, was like the gauges, and they didn't check any of my lights to see if they were going to work. I think it's just because kind of it's a legality thing with the law. No matter what, like, you have to have them, and if you don't, you get a ticket. They probably just didn't want to be liable for them saying that I had it and then it doesn't. They might have just seen how much work I had into the car and realized that all that stuff probably works because the car was safe enough to drive it there. From highway patrol, she pretty much came out, walked around the car, looked at everything, gave it a once over. They were really thorough with checking the VIN numbers on the engine and trans to make sure that those matched some sort of documentation to prove that I had them legally. And that I was kind of surprised. I figured they kind of would have overlooked that stuff, but they looked really tedious down in there to get the numbers off. And then the biggest one was actually at the DMV. They were very adamant about it from the very beginning because I had asked. You have to have every receipt from your build to prove that everything was purchased and stuff, and that's how they kind of assess the value. The one thing that I was really curious about and I was kind of afraid of because I never got a definitive answer, but it was, I felt that I had paid most of the property tax when I had bought the items for the car. And when I went to the DMV, I was actually surprised that that is accurate. So it was only based upon the price of the overall amount for the taxes, and then they deduct what I had already paid for property tax on everything. So it was a very small fee. I actually got out of there paying, it was like $275 for just this to register it. And then adding it to insurance is actually cheaper because I get a multi-vehicle discount, so it's $8 cheaper over a period of 6 months. So that was really nice. So it is actually cheaper to own this car than it is to not own this car. It's really exciting now because, you know, the hard part is done. Now we can focus on doing the body and stuff and not have to worry that, you know, when we get it done, if a car show comes up, we have to miss it or whatever, because, you know, now we can drive the car if we have any local meets. We really didn't want to bother with loading it up to take it, you know, 20 minutes down the road if we were going to Cars and Coffee or, you know, just out in general, just any of the local meetups and stuff. Now, you know, we can kind of go out to those things without having to worry about trailer in the car. From the very first day we started building this thing, I got this 3-ring binder and I started collecting every receipt that I needed for the car. Every time I had purchased something, I made sure that I came back to the shop and put it immediately in here. Most of these are the metal, because that was going to be the hardest thing to prove. And I mean, there's tons of them in here. These are front to back, like almost fully through here. And then like this one, this is from the steering column that we had got. And they're going to want these documents because they're going to want to be able to prove that, you know, none of these items are stolen or, you know, that these were paid for, because this is another thing is this is going to be the way that they assess the value of the car, which doesn't look like something in your favor. But like I said before, they give you credit for what you spent for the sales tax on those receipts. So it doesn't like snowball and you're going to pay for the car twice, which is what I was afraid of. But like they said everything. They wanted even the, you know, the receipt for the paint. And so this is like fiberglass and materials. And I've got some Summit Racing ones in here for like the fittings and stuff we used. This one right here, I even have the welding gas on there and the wire. So all of that stuff I kept just to make sure that I wasn't going to have any issues with anything, because when I had talked to the specialist up at Highway Patrol, he definitely sounded like he knew what he was talking about, and I wasn't going to be able to get over on him if he was looking at stuff and, you know, didn't see receipts for it. So I made sure that I had everything. All the hardware store ones, Strasser's pretty much most of those in there other than the metal by the foot, but those are even for the brake lines to have made. So it's good to keep a process for this for several reasons. One, if you don't do this stuff often, I mean, I could literally dissect the car from here and tell you every single part that's on it, front to back, because I built it and I designed it. Video. So basically, it's important because you'll know if you don't remember. You'll have all the documentation here, and then if you need to replace something and it's a year range and you don't remember, you can go back to it. But it's also nice because this was my very first one-off full custom build that, you know, I actually created the VIN number and all that stuff for. Like, this is the first of the first. So it's just kind of neat for me because when I got started in fabrication, I never thought that I was going to build my own tube chassis car and be able to drive it legally on the street, but that's the case today. So we're going to fucking do it. All right. So we ran you through this book of receipts on the car. So basically what you want to do is, before you get started, make sure that you know what your rules are for your state, because they may vary. and then kind of go off of that. But document your entire process. Pictures help, which we have, you know, the whole Instagram from the very beginning on the very first tube we laid down. But I was a lot more concerned with the way that it was going to go than it really was. When I was looking into the legality of, you know, stuff that can be on the car and all this other stuff, that is for manufactured vehicles by companies. So they didn't go out there with a tape measure and measure my headlight height, and they didn't go out there and measure my bumper height and all that stuff. I do have all of those, you know, the bash bars and crash bars, but it wasn't as deep as I thought it was going to be. I thought that they were going to hold me to all those other levels, and they don't. So basically, after 25 years, my perception of it is that your car wouldn't meet crash test standards anyway. And if you're buying a car that's that old, you're aware of the safety concerns that are in that. And I feel that that's how kit cars are kind of registered also, is the fact that you knowingly know that your car may not perform well in crash tests, so they're going to allow you to basically build your own car anyway, and you assume all of those risks. So the levels of what they do to protect you in newer cars is under the assumption that that is going to save your life based upon what other companies have come up with, not what you've come up with on your own. So I feel like that's why they even allow custom built cars. So it's kind of like, you know that, you know, the car may not meet those standards on your own, but you're willing to take the risk to, you know, have it and drive it. So you're basically aware of it. So with all that stuff being said, first, check your local laws and make sure that that's something that you're going to be able to comply with as their rules and regulations. Document everything, keep all your receipts for everything. When the day comes, obviously check with your local inspection if they can perform the inspections. Mine, they were kind of pointing fingers. They said that, oh, you'll be able to get a temporary one-day pass to drive the car so you don't have to trailer it. But the DMV required that I had a VIN number already, so since I needed to drive it out there to get the VIN, I just decided I'm just going to drive it. I didn't want to load it up on the trailer, and I figured worst case scenario, I get pulled over by highway patrol. They show that I'm on my way there. I have all the paper documents. I have the stuff from them saying that this is what I need. I figured they wouldn't really bother with me, and I was right. I lucked out and made it. It's probably best to trailer it though, because if you aren't 100% sure that you have complied with all the rules, they may not want you to leave, being the fact that you're going to be driving it on the road again and, you know, your car doesn't comply.
Yeah, so for liability reasons, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be me. Do as I say, not as I do. But it worked out for us in the end. They gave us the VIN number there, and then it was just driving it from there to the DMV to get that stuff done. And then the DMV wanted every document. I thought that under the law, the Highway Patrol was going to want all the documents. They wanted the majority of them to go through and document the VIN numbers on the engine and trans and stuff. But ultimately, they just wanted to, you know, basically put it together. But the state wants to charge you for it, so you need your receipts for that. But other than that, it was pretty smooth sailing. It was just a lot of time. But I mean, you figure over a period of 2 years of building a car, I mean, what's 2 days worth of time to go through and cross all your I's and dot all your T's? All right, guys, well, that's it for this one. Be sure to check us out next week. We got all the stuff to start building this exhaust, and we're gonna start on that. You're not gonna wanna miss it.